All right, rocking and rolling here. Anyway, so welcome in. My name is Christy Whistler, and I'm with the Intuitive Parent Evolution. And I support parents and their children stepping off the conventional path, whatever that looks like for you, and finding your own. And doing that work is actually really scary. I've done it. I've done it, and I really wish that I had someone there beside me, so at the very least I wasn't alone and going against the grain as much as I was. I have two kids, Kate and Eric, and they are both unique and different. They had language challenges. Good morning, Dana. Thanks for hopping on. My dear friend Dana. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing good. So that's a little bit who I am, who the intuitive parent is. Again, like, I'm here to support you. And one of the ways I'm going to do that is sharing information that has been so important to me and transformational. And that's kind of what one of the things I'm going to talk about today. And so this conversation is going to be about, what does it mean to have an antenna? What does it mean to have a super strong antenna? Oh, good morning, Daphne. Well, I mean, it's like lunch-ish time for you, but thank you for hopping on and joining. I really appreciate it. So I don't know about you. I honestly, I mean, I know you both, like, and I know who's here and who's watching, and you guys are pretty sensitive, aren't you? Like, I would just kind of love to know even just your thoughts on that. Like, are you sensitive? Sorry for the shaking that's happening, because Eric likes to, like, shake my table while he's at his chair. So, you know, we're just kind of rolling with it. Yeah, Daphne says, oh yes, right? Eric, use the other one. I literally moved his chair to the other thing so he could sit there and shake it with his foot instead of shaking my table. But he likes my table. I see Dana says she's extremely sensitive. And did you guys know that as a kid about who you were? How you could feel the world, feel its energies, and I'm going to give some more language to this as well. But did you know it? And if you did know, like, were you supported in that? Like, did you have people teaching you, your parents, school, a caregiver, someone to kind of guide you with how you felt the world? Daphne says she's got high emotion. Totally. Dana says she was too sensitive and shamed. I feel you, friend. Daphne says she wasn't supported. For me, I instinctively knew or learned very, very young that I had to tuck my emotions away. I had to be perfect. Perfect then meant I wouldn't get in trouble. I wouldn't get yelled at. I was so sensitive that those explosive emotions really kind of rocked my young world. And that was how I protected myself. So, like, I didn't even know I had the sensitivity because I stuffed it under the rug because that's how I had to cope. Wow, this is actually quite emotional to talk about. That's how I had to survive. Daphne shares that her parents were young. And there were 3 of them, 3 kids before your parents were 21. Like, your parents were kids themselves. I can absolutely assure you, if I was a parent before 21, like, I'd kind of be a hot mess with the parenting thing. Even me in this journey that I have been on. Ooh, wow. I'm like clearing a lot from my throat today. And I have a feeling it's not just for me. That's really curious. Okay. Just go with that. So, I, like you, had to learn what it meant to be sensitive. I had to learn how to cope. And then as I got older, and honestly, my kids kind of like rocked my world and threw those doors open, I had to learn how to then manage what I was feeling and really like both be that and exist in this world. Right, Dina? Oh, I'm getting chills. Being shouted out and sent away was harder than being hit. Thank you for saying that. Because it's so true. Oh, you're congested today, Daphne. I'm just kind of sitting with that for a moment. Being shouted out, it's harder than being hit. That was my experience as well. The intensity of the emotions that rocked my very sensitive central nervous system. And as a kid, you have no words to describe that, to explain it. And that's kind of what I'm hoping to do today, is to really start having a new conversation and a new language. And beyond people like you and like me who like, oh yeah, we're sensitive, we feel the world, we are empaths, and empaths not meaning empathy for others, but you're taking in that energy, you're taking in the emotions of others into your own body. Like, and you can feel it as if your own. And sometimes it's incredibly hard to distinguish between what is yours, what is theirs, and what is the rest of the world. I did not have this information when I was a kid, and I really, really wish I would have. So again, like, let's start shifting the paradigm. And there's my kids chatting away in the back about as usual. Again, let's shift the conversation. Let's start adding new language, even for people who do not understand and who do not feel the world the way we do. That's why I want to talk about you and your antenna. So this was originally inspired by me to have this conversation back in October when I was listening to Rob Bell's podcast, and I actually went and posted that for you in the comments. And that podcast is a game changer. And I wish I had that when I was younger. Because what he did was he actually really, and I'm going to kind of go through a little bit with you, broke it down what this means to have an antenna. And moving it away from the woo-woo stuff that some people might be hearing as I'm speaking about energy and emotion and collectives. And we're going to like bring it back to like real and what this means, even if you're not like someone who feels like me or someone who feels like my kids. So I listen to this podcast now at least 4 times, and I've sent it to friends. I actually sent it to Sean. I haven't talked to him about it because I was camping when I sent it, because he wasn't understanding who I am and who our kids are. And again, like, it's almost like a great way to introduce people who are more logical, more evidence, more science-based thinking into, no. There's actually a lot more going on in this world. And we're going to kind of talk about it. To show you how much this meant to me, I thought about writing a blog. Are you okay? Kate just fell out of her chair. She doesn't sit still very well. We're actually going to get her one of those like medicine ball things, so hopefully this doesn't happen. But I literally went and took notes about the things that I wanted to talk about. So this isn't going to be like this professional, like, oh, I memorized everything. And no, I'm going to be looking at my notes because it was really important to me to do this. All right, so definitely click the link. I mean, not right now, when you have time. and listen to what Rob Bell says, because he really does it so beautifully in a way that communicates to many, many people, which is what I loved about it. And I realized the only way I can really do this conversation justice is to actually have a conversation with you and get your thoughts and your opinions. And I'm just laughing right now because I've got Eric now like at the swing, and yeah, me keeping a train of thoughts while parenting, which is why I have notes. All right, so again, like this is the first time that I had clear language given to me in a way that was very grounded in this world, in the way that made sense. Like I said, I wish I had it earlier. So, okay, when I mentioned the word antenna and some of the examples that Rob gave, so you walk into a room or a place and walking down the street at night, and you suddenly feel unsafe. You have no reason to feel unsafe. There is no evidence to justify this. And yet, it's a feeling in your gut that you are not safe. That is your antenna. Or you go into a party, and you walk into the room, and you know everything there is to know about the people who are there. Their stories, their interactions, all the dynamics. Like you just intuitively know what the heck is going on. And maybe it doesn't feel good. Maybe you're really uncomfortable. And maybe the person that you're with is like, oh, hey, there's Phil over there. I'm going to go say hi to Phil. And he goes off and completely oblivious to like what you are feeling in this room and the stories that are happening and the people that are there. Those are both antennas. One of them has a really strong antenna and the other one is really kind of like, yeah, pretty weak to this kind of thing. Or have you had an experience where you call a friend and immediately, like that, you know something is wrong? You can feel, even as they say hello, something isn't right. Something happened. And maybe they don't say anything. And you get off the phone and then you find out later that so-and-so lost their job, something happened, a family member is sick. And you're like, oh, I knew that. That is your antenna. That's your intuition, your gut feeling. Or you can feel someone else's anxiety as if it were in your body. Or regret. You can feel that even in the conversation with them, and you're drained. You feel like whoosh, all your energy is gone. So I'm curious, what are some of your experiences about having this super strong antenna, right? That science and evidence isn't going to like just like, oh yeah, this is a situation. And yet you knew when you walked into this store that the vibe was off. The vibe wasn't right. And you go and you tell that to your friend, oh, the vibe felt really weird. I didn't like it. And your friend goes, oh yeah, I know. I like, they understand what you mean by vibe. And yet, again, there's no evidence that the vibe wasn't right. You're noticing, Daphne, that this happens with your adult children, right? Or, how about this? How did you guys feel getting out of the presidential election that we had? I don't know about you, but whoo-wee! That whole election cycle was, I could barely breathe. My nerves were so shot. It was like every breath that I took, I was feeling what everyone around me was feeling. Like it was in my body, and it was almost impossible to ground it. Hi, Marie. How are you doing? Thanks for hopping in. We're having a conversation about antennas and sensitivities, and there's Eric shaking my table again. and trying to give us new language to describe some of this to other people who may not understand. And so what I really love what Rob Bell did is he really kind of broke that piece of it down. Let's talk about what it means to have an antenna. Let's talk about what it means to have these gut feelings that we all know and experience. And it's like, oh yeah, yeah, the vibe wasn't right. Yeah, I get that. And there's understanding about that. Marie, you're in that, you know what? Thank you for bringing that up, Marie, because yeah, it's a tough week. I mean, with what's happening in Afghanistan right now, oh yeah, it's kind of coming through more in my throat and my heart. It has been very, it's hard. Christina, she's sharing with us too. I can barely be in public places for long because I can easily feel tension in the air these days. I can't be among all the mix of energies for too long, right? And even just bringing up the word Afghanistan, like I'm having such pain in my heart. You're getting it, yeah, you get it in your heart and your throat too. It's, and this is kind of why I was guided to let's come on and let's talk about what's happening right now. And those of us with these really strong antennas, I mean, like you're seeing it in me, like I'm ready to start crying. It's tightness and it's a heaviness. That's right, Christina. And it's this balance of being present with that, right? Giving love, sending prayers, and we, as sensitives, as people with these strong antennas, have to learn to ground ourselves, to hold our boundary. I think I would have been a completely different child growing up if I had these tools. Which again, I'm having this conversation so we can talk about it, so we can teach and model for our kids, the kids around us, even if you are not a parent, there are children around you. And these children that are coming in are incredibly sensitive to the point where they're like, nope, this is exactly who I am. Conformity can stick it. I'm not doing it. I mean, at least those are who my kids are. Right? How do you be present for what's happening in this world and not get pulled down into the heaviness, into this constriction, to keep ourselves up, to witness it, to hold space for it, but not get pulled down? And everything that I'm talking about here and sharing, this is more than just, oh, you're an introvert, you're an extrovert. I mean, those are really great labels. It helps us understand, and yet there is more. Daphne, your grandchildren, you can see it in them, right? Like, these kids are like, nope, we're changing the world, man. You guys get on board. Get on board, because I'm not conforming. I'm not changing. We need more language about this. We need more description. We need more space for us who experience things differently, right? You know, my whole family is introverts, and yet Sean doesn't feel this the way Kate and Eric and I do. And I can tell you 1,000% that what I feel is nothing compared to what Eric feels. And he's 6. I'm like, how old is he? I can't remember. He's 6.5. And is just getting language to express his feelings and what's happening. And I was really mindful this week, going into this week, as I started seeing what was happening in Afghanistan. Yep, see, it's coming up again. And again, I'm going to see and kind of hold myself back, because I'll go in really, really deep, and that's not going to help anyone. But I was like, okay, this week I really need to be mindful in watching my kids. How are they processing it? How are they handling it? If I'm feeling this, they're off the charts with what they're feeling, and really trying to be more patient. Kate has been very, very emotional this week. Eric's having moments of like explosive. He's doing pretty good, but I've been really mindful about getting him into the pool. The water is really, really helping him to ground and move that energy. But again, I'm watching what's happening because I've noticed a pattern with my kids. Usually it's, hindsight, oh yeah, that's what's going on. When we had the Brett Kavanaugh hearings. And again, I'm not getting political, I'm just sharing the experience. And when Dr. Ford came forward and started sharing her story, again, the collective emotion of women across, I was going to say country and then world just popped into my head, of women who have had these experiences, who have told their stories, and then who have not been listened to or dismissed, ignored, belittled. What just popped into my head right now is what's happening with Blizzard activation and the lawsuit from the state of California against how they treated their women at their company. But I was like, wow, what's going on with Eric? I mean, it was like, what's going on? Like, I was kind of thrown off, and then I realized, oh, that's right. The Supreme Court hearings are happening right now. I was feeling it from all the women myself, and it's like, oh my gosh, of course he can feel it. And then like a week later, he was back to normal. Like, again, this is what I mean about antennas and sensitivities. This was a real experience. And it's like, oh, right, that's what's happening. What about you? Have you, we're talking about a little bit of Afghanistan, but have there been experiences in our country, in our collective, again, that you felt, we're not going into any of the politics stuff, right? But that have affected like you, and you're like, oh my gosh, where is this coming from? Why am I holding this? Like, this isn't mine. A little bit of it can be yours, but you're like, whoa, this isn't mine. That's right, Daphne, they are. They feel it. They feel it. Christina says all her life she's been told she was too sensitive. Right? And it makes you sad to hear that from others. And it is okay to feel. But of course that's not what our culture, at least here in the United States, wants. I've had many experiences, especially when Eric was younger. Again, if very intense child, very emotional child, very explosive, and allowing him that space to have those emotions, and people walking by, and the looks, and the judgment, and it's like this, how dare you let your child feel in public like that? Because the emotion was so uncomfortable that they couldn't even witness it in a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old. And me, being this empath, and I hadn't any of these tools or even knew this about myself at the time, and knowing that I need to give him this space to feel, but yet what's protecting me? I didn't have boundaries. I didn't have my own protective bubble. I didn't have crystals at the time to support me in this work. And I took a lot in, a lot. Daphne's sharing that she's tried to distance herself from the news. Yep. What they're telling us going on in the world. Speaking of that, I literally just got a text message from Team Kelly in Arizona. Yeah, it's this being very mindful of how you use the news right now as a tool. For me, I'm like headline girl only at this point, unless there's something that I really want to kind of dig into and see what's going on. I'm more interested in the world events. It's that delicate balance between privilege. I'm not needing to jump on a plane and hold on to get myself and my family out safely, right? That's my privilege. And yet there is truth to holding my boundaries and protecting my energy so I can keep things up. I can have these conversations and have hope. There's this delicate balance that we're all trying to walk right now. Leslie sharing, I don't think I've ever felt anything stronger world-wise than 9/11. And every year on that day you feel it. I'm getting complete chills, Leslie. You know, that was actually one of the things that when Rob Bell in his podcast shared was he's like, I knew people who knew that this was happening before it happened because they could feel it. And they felt its sense, right? People's antennas are so strong that they don't need to watch the news to know what is going on. They are so tied into the collective energy that they know what's happening. Share a little bit of one of my experiences with that. When Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, I didn't know it at the time. I walked into my bedroom and all of a sudden the wind just started blowing. And it was one of those moments where I stopped and I looked at the window and I was like, what was that? That was something. And I got out my pendulum and I'm like, did I just get a message? And it was like, yes. I mean, I didn't know what it was at the time, but I felt it. I got stopped in my tracks and I came back out. 3 hours later, I found out that she passed away. And I knew it. And I felt it. So, like, right? Experiences like that has stopped you in your track. Like, have you had some of those? Christina is sharing from birth. Many parents from your era of the 70s and 80s and before, their parents were told, right, go leave their babies when crying. Do not cradle and coddle to let them cry it out and self-soothe. What the fuck, right? Yeah, you know, Christina, that message is still told. That was one of my messages as a new parent when it came to sleep training. And I fell into it for a bit. And again, it's this like finding of your way of like, wait, this doesn't feel right. Why would we do this? You know, like co-sleeping. The only way Eric managed to get any sleep, and still does, is he is in the bed with me because he needs my energy to calm him and help him settle. Maria, she doesn't watch the news. Yeah, you know, watching the news, I would not watch the news. Like reading from like journals and really good sources that are really going to actually go into the details, or podcasts. Like that's how I would go. Like as far as watching, at least my choice. I'm not watching. That's right. Children are crying upset. We can help them. Yes, absolutely. We don't learn how to emotionally regulate on our own, like, certainly as little beings. Like, we don't know how. We need someone to model for us and to hold us. Exactly. Like, this idea of like, oh, we'll just go work it out when kids are fighting at the playground or whatever. Like, how? They don't have the tools. They haven't learned. Like, that's our job. Let's stop farming it out and step up and do the uncomfortable thing and sit with the emotions and the reality of what's happening, even if we don't get it right. I don't know about you. I don't never get things right, but I mess up still, all the time. All the time I'm messing up. Marie is sharing that, yeah, that happens to you, Marie, knowing things, feeling things. Well, thank you for joining us. Daphne says, I have a hard time believing what they're saying on the news. Yeah. What's true? What's not true? That's going to be more of this collective theme that's going to be coming out, even just in the astrology. Love astrology. That's kind of been more of my news source than anything else, and then getting confirmation of like, oh, look, this thing happened, this thing happened. It's helping me move through this time. So this conversation is really good. Let's see here. I think this is kind of a Rob Bell quote, so let me quote it for you. His language around this about the antenna is so perfect, because it's for those who are logical, who require evidence for something that must be true. This is the podcast I'm sending to them, to help them understand people like me, people like you. How some people's antenna was literally born to be tuned into spirit. That they've been tuned into the divine the whole time. Why is it important that we're talking about it? We're kind of getting into that too right now. This modern world doesn't have space for people who experience this world like we do. They discount a wide range of empirical experiences. This sounds woo-woo, what we're talking about here, and weird, and there's almost an immediate suspicion bred into us by the materialism learning that has been happening for the past 300, 400 years. That unless you can show evidence and dates, scientific imperial-based way of knowing things, which is beneficial. That's how we got modern medicine. That's how we can have surgeries, right? All this stuff is really important. Technologies like what I'm doing right now, this is important. But it drowned out other ways of knowing, or has flat out dismissed them.
If you want to role-play and talk to somebody, why don't you go find somebody and play with?
And this is actually, it's kind of funny because Sean's right there now. This even stemmed from a recent conversation that I had with Sean. And what came out in this conversation was I've had experiences with Eric where I have telepathically heard him in my mind. Full sentences. Where are you, Mom? This is probably when he was 3 years old, 4 years old, in the playground. Had one of those moments that when he was starting to kind of separate a little bit from me and get a little bit more courageous and more independent. And then having that moment of oh my God, where's Mom, right? And I heard so clearly in my mind, where are you, Mom? And how I immediately looked up and looked right at him. I didn't search around looking for him. I looked right where he was because I knew where he was. And sharing this experience, and it was kind of a heated conversation. And the pushback of, well, you thought you heard him. I can't prove it to you. I can't. Science is starting to catch up a little bit, right? When we get into quantum physics about how this is actually working and interacting, but science isn't there yet. Not fully. And mainstream science takes about 30, 40 years to catch up on what they knew 30, 40 years ago. It's oh yeah, this is a thing. This does happen. We're not quite there yet. And look at Dina. Dina's sharing one of those experiences too. She heard her son scream in her head one day, "Mom, I'm scared." He was getting hit by a much bigger and older child at the playground, well outside of hearing distance. Can you prove it? Right? If you go and you just say to someone, this happened to me, and they're going to look at you sure you did. And you're no, I did. Because you did. Because some of us have these very sensitive antennas. Some of us have a whole different way of communicating with each other and the world, and it is valid, even if there is no scientifically evidence-based proving it. Which there kind of is. They're just not wanting to talk about it. I actually have this wonderful release CIA document that my friend Amy sent me. And it's oh yeah, here are the military doing all these studies into consciousness and how to use it, how to control it. They talking about using the tube torus, which I learned in my soul shift class last year, and I'm like, seriously? But when I walk into the doctor's office and I tell her, my son has a highly sensitive central nervous system and he's really struggling in November during election season about grounding this energy, and I'm looked at like, have you tried like behavioral therapy? And I'm like, excuse me, like, like people look at me like I'm crazy, and I'm like, no, I'm not. And guess what? Like, our government certainly like has been doing research into this, right? We are strong in our knowing that these things are happening. Yes, Daphne's sharing this happens to her a lot. Some of us really do experience this world very, very differently. Yeah. And me, like many of you, like living in a culture that hears about these experiences and the results. The feedback is, well, show me the proof. Show me the research on that. Show me the studies. Show me the data. And yet, I know what I know. It doesn't work like that. There is no data to say that my son is telepathically communicating with me, because that's the field that my son is communicating on. Like, this language thing, he's just like, I'll get to it eventually. Like, my concern right now is like living in this world and all the shit that's happening and not like going crazy, because it is so intense and it is so hard. Like, he's like, your language thing, I'll get to it eventually. And he is, right? But that's not his default. They can't show the data of how a seed turns into what it is. That's so beautiful, Daphne. That's so beautiful. You need, what just popped into my mind too is how nature even uses mathematics, the Fibonacci sequence, right? Like magic all around us in our world. How are these things so mathematically perfect? How? How? From a fern to a shell, like totally different things, and yet it's there. The way flowers are formed, their petals, it's perfect sequence. There's a reason I really wanted to go into this podcast with you, because it was so emotionally touching for me. How does the atom know what it's going to turn into? You know, Daphne, and then you really start getting into quantum physics and like how it's not until, I don't know if atom is quite the right word. Again, like I'm not a big physicist kind of person, at least not in this life. How when you actually visualize it, that's when it changes. Like your act of seeing it causes the change. Quantum physics, quantum entanglement. Like this is right? Like, okay guys, you think I'm crazy though. And yet the moment you visualize these things, it's when they change and becomes who they are. So for thousands of years, the collective created space for these people. People who could sense what was coming before it arrived. The tribe made room. They didn't discount them, didn't call them crazy. They saw them as necessary to survival and, more importantly, the thriving of the group. I'm getting emotional because that's who my kids are. That's who I am. And that's not how I was treated. As a parent, coming and saying, my child is experiencing this world differently than you, and you are not listening to me. You are not hearing me. You were wrong. And yet you were trying to force me to conform. And then you shame me when I say no. You tell me you are in denial. Screw you. I know exactly who my kids are, and you do not. No, it's absolutely, it is not right what's going on. And how many parents and children are not being given the space to be who they are. Instead, it's this mentality of something's wrong with your child. Your child needs to be fixed. They need to normalize. They need to be like all the others. Because that's how our systems are set up. Our school systems, how we earn our money, there's not a lot of space for those of us who are different. Yeah. Next, I am. So many of us on this planet, and we are being told to medicate for our problems, right, Christina? I'm just really sitting with a lot of the emotions that are coming up. If you can't tell, this is trauma for me. How I was treated and shamed and belittled, the things that were said to me, and I say that too, is I'm living in Los Angeles. I am a college-educated white woman, and I was treated this way. And my kids their experiences are nothing like other kids, and this is how I was treated. I can't even imagine what that experience must have been like for others who are even more different. And I'm having trauma that I'm healing from. And it was definitely trauma because I also didn't have the tools that I have now to really stand in my power. I took it inside me, and now I'm healing those fragments of myself. The system is so broken. Christina, you were bullied all throughout your childhood, adolescence, for being different. Thank you for seeing me. I feel like part of you might have really embraced that being different, Christina, and I really honor you. I hid it. That's how I survived. I hid who I was. And that's been a lot of rebuilding, of finding my worth as I am. Right? It's even in the words that are used, like the exams you're taking in school, passing, failing. We conform, right? The whole system. Yet, Christina, I am here. I'm doing this to really start building this different world. And maybe it's just going to be like, we're going to have these conversations. I'm going to have the conversations. I'm going to share my story. I'm going to say how much I was hurt. And I'm hoping, like you guys are just beautifully doing right now, is sharing your experiences. All ages and races of people are not laughed at and bullied for feeling, for being who they are, for looking the way they do. Oh, that's right, Dana had lots of bullying experiences. Example, I am. Christina, you hid your gifts for a long time, but the closest people to you knew. Thank you. I'm really happy you're here. I really am. I'm happy all of you are here. And like I know I came for the children, not just my children, but for all children. That's my purpose for being here. We have this mentality of telling our kids to get tougher. You know, this is going to kind of tie back into what you mentioned earlier, Christina, about let them cry it out. Let's not hold these babies who need love and support and comfort. Let's let them cry it out, figure it out on their own, or get tougher. How about instead, some of these kids actually need to be protected from that structure. That their antennas are so strong that the environment itself is harmful, that it is a sensory overload. Just think of middle school, right? Just think of any kind of school where there's all these posters on the wall, kids are running around screaming, there's one teacher and they're in a room, and these children are like, oh my God. Oh my God. Don't cry, stop crying, man up. Those are, what else, what are the other words that have been told to us? What are the other sayings that we've heard? The single moms that have to work to put food on the table and dealing with the same issues? Absolutely, Daphne. I hear it from single parents, and I'm just like, hats off to you. Because not only are you working and keeping the house clean and, oh my gosh, toilets, dishes, right? Cleaning those things. And then you're having to help them with homework. And then you're having to help them through feelings that might be happening at school. And do you even have space in your energy to do that? Like, and you're trying your best? Oh my gosh. Christina, I think this mentality really arose during the Industrial Revolution. It really shifted. If you actually dig into the history of education, it's an eye-opener where that came from, the public school system. This actually came from institutions in Prussia and brought it here. I believe, my belief in the research that I've done and my own experiences is I have a lot of opinions about this. There's a lot of like little deep rabbit holes. But again, this idea of like we need people to work in the factories, so we got to get the kids in school, and then we want them to follow along and to do as they're told. This idea of, again, it's like how far deep into that you want to go, but it's stop learning, thinking for yourself, stop having dialogue, stop philosophy. Oh, bye, Leslie. Thank you. I'm so glad you popped on. It's stop being creative. You know, stop taking risks. You got to pass your test. That means you can't fail. And what is being creative? What is being an inventor? You fail a lot. Like that's part of it. So it's kind of a, where did this come from? I believe it's old and it's very deep and very controlling. And I would also say it was probably very purposeful. The hot tub, people making those decisions, but that is totally another conversation. I should get Amy on here, Amy Hayes, to have that conversation with you all, back and forth. That would be interesting. But yeah, like our antennas, to kind of like get back into that, it's like you have your own radio station that is picking up so much. And maybe what you really need is a quiet space. And that space is not school. With a packed classroom, 21 people with megaphones shouting into your ears. The response to that, I believe, should not be toughen up. So, right? Antennas. This is what our antennas can look like. How sensitive we are, how we feel the world. And 2020, 2021, I mean, people with blunt instrument antennas were feeling what was going on. They were picking up on it. The people who are usually like, hey, what time is the game on? They're, oh wait, something is going on here. What is this? The thing in the air was so thick that everyone was feeling this. Everyone was feeling it. I think you were. What do you think? You don't know? Kate's not sure. And you know, something, and I was having a conversation with Leslie, and she is sharing with me about her son, who also has language challenges, which is how we connected. And he ended up going to a boy who was 3 years younger than him at the playground. And this little boy, the little one, has his own special needs. 3 years younger, so he's probably about 2. Her son is about 4.5. And the sensitive way that her son just treated this boy like he's like a big brother. You need a plum?
What do you want, Eric?
He's saying plum.
You want plum?
Yeah.
Daddy?
And the communication between these two children without words, the sensitivity and the love that was shared between them. And Leslie saw it. And she saw the gift for what it was and how special. How special. And I'm going to say, too, that how special it was that Leslie's making space for her son to be who he is, this very sensitive soul who knew exactly what to do for someone who is different. Christina, I used to say, I don't know, and still do when I didn't want to talk about things, because I knew that it would create discussion and feelings would arise. I don't know is somehow more acceptable than saying, I don't want to talk about it, or don't ask me. That's challenging, Christina. That's really, really challenging. What immediately popped into my mind is myself. I'm really learning to hold some and set some boundaries with someone in my life, family, who believes differently than me, and I'm okay with that, really. Like, I'm not trying to change his mind. Like, you do you, and I'm okay with that. And yet, I don't need to sit there and listen to these comments that you make out of nowhere. Like, no, I'm actually not okay with that. Like, can you respect me not agreeing with you? And can you just let that be? Right? Like, can you just, you do you and I do me. Like, why is this so hard? That just kind of popped into my mind. So be really, really mindful right now, this week, if you have really strong antennas, people around you with these really strong, sensitive antennas, and what is happening. How can you ground that energy? Right? How do you move through it? How can you get some space? space from all that noise, space from the feelings. For me, a lot of it is being out in nature. We just got back from camping, which camping has been a lifesaver for me and the kids this year. And even if not, it's just going outside and taking my shoes off and walking on the dirt or the grass or just sitting in the sunshine and feeling the air. My crystals, very supportive for me, grounding me, helping me through this. And I'm really using this more with my kids too. Sound tools, rattles to shake off the energy, and just in general having more patience and more awareness, especially when it comes to them. Because again, if I'm feeling this, those guys are
Chrome has fallen from grace.
whole other world, and I'm like, I'm just going to do the best that I can. So I hope this conversation has been helpful. Like, I really want to start talking about those of us who have these strong antennas. Like, let's add some more words. Sorry, Sean's now on a work call, so, again, we're just doing our thing. Doing the best that we can here. Oh, Christina, exactly. I am in the same boat, many of us are. We can all be free to have our opinions, even if they are really different, and still love and make space, respect, right? You still haven't come out of the closet per se and shared all of your gifts with your deeply religious family. Always been spiritual with many questions as a child that my family couldn't answer. Christina. And maybe you don't, maybe you can't fully open up because maybe your piece is that line that you have to draw. And if you can, I hope you listen to Rob Bell's podcast, because he kind of even goes into that a little bit, how you have these children that are so in tune with their antennas, they are so in tune with the divine, and yet they're in these religious institutions and they're more in tune than the people running the thing. That popped into my mind for you. But it was like, yes, I can relate to that. Even with my very tapped down and like tucked under the rug sensitivity is like, yeah, I had moments of experiences like that. I totally did. Dina, oh yes, slower pace, absolutely. Helps make space for your feelings. Totally. And oh my gosh, a slower pace means that you can then release. You can't hear me? Oh no. Right. Can you guys hear me now? Is that a little bit better? I'm plugged in. I got a microphone. But yeah, when we're not rushing around, we're not trying to go to an appointment or get to school on time or get out the door with hairbrush, clothes on, teeth, right? The whole thing. We can actually just be better. Okay, Dina can hear me. Okay, good. I mean, it's not good for you, Daphne, but I'm glad everybody else can hear me. But it's in those moments when we can actually slow down and stop, and we can say, okay, I can be with you in these feelings. Because you need time, you need space, you need energy to do that. You need it. If I'm rushing around, that is usually when I'm ready to snap. That's when, that's when I'm snapping. That's when I'm yelling more. I'm not patient. It's when I'm like, oh, I gotta be here. I gotta do this. I gotta do this. And the kids are like, right? Like, that's when I'm usually not in my game as the parent I want to be. It's a space, slowing down. And that, for me, it could be different. I know it's different for other people, but slowing down has been a gift of this pandemic, this time. Like, I'm not using all of my season passes that we had, like for Disneyland or the museum or the aquarium, and with this feeling of like, you got to go do here, you got to go do that and learn. And no. really got small and simple. I can only go to places where Eric can be free. You know, like he'll wear a mask for 10 minutes and that's it. And then it's going to be fighting with him like this the whole time. So it's like, nope, we're going to places where he can be free and I'm not in that dynamic with him. Being able to slow down. Yeah, Daphne too. Daphne too. That's right, Christina. Sometimes sharing isn't helpful. And you do need to protect your peace. Right, there's that balance of sharing and peace. Sharing and peace for yourself because we are human. We are human. So I really, I hope this was helpful. I'm hoping this podcast, like I said, I listened to it 3 or 4 times because it was so like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And the way he describes it will work for those logical evidence people in your life who can't quite get behind. So you heard your kid in your head, like asking for you for help, like, So you happen to know before the earthquake hit that this thing was happening. Or I had an experience last year with the fires, and a friend of mine who lives in Oregon, in Lincoln City, and I just was like feeling fire. It was like kept popping into my head. And I texted her and I was like, are you okay? Because I'm feeling this. Like I knew it was approaching, but what are you doing? Eric? Eric, what are you doing? Do you want to move the chair? Okay. Hold on 1 second.
Here. Ow!
Well.
Yeah, I need to clean this out.
Okay. Sorry. I didn't want him to knock the whole like big old chair over and, you know, obvious reasons, right? Anyway, and I had that experience and I texted her and then 2 hours later she was evacuating. And their house was fine and everything, but it was like wow, like I did the thing. Like I did know that this thing was coming. Like I didn't know it at the time, but I felt it. So how are you feeling things, right? Be mindful of that. Like, and can we start making space for people like this, right? To have allowance of like, yeah, you know, maybe that is a thing. Maybe you are feeling a vibe. Maybe you are having a gut sense about something. Oh, it's always a treasure being with you too, Daphne. So share this message to anyone that you would like. Before I go to, I was being guided to do a collective card reading. So I would like to do that for all of you. Right? Talking about it, it lets others open up and talk about it. And that's my hope, is if I say, hey, this is how I experience the world, this is how my kids experience the world, other people are like, oh, maybe that's true for me too. Because that's how, right, like I didn't know about this way of being until it crossed my path and it was like, oh my God, like the light bulb went off. Like that's who I am. That's how I experience the world. Boy, it would have been really helpful. I knew this when I was, 2. I'm sure it would have been helpful for my parents to know this about me. I'm sure it would have been parenting me a little bit easier, understanding how important my emotions are to me. See, like I just get that energy of like, this is how we really start changing things, just by having these conversations and sharing and normalizing. Have you listened to Anastasia, The Ringing Cedars of Russia? I haven't. Is it a book? Is it a song? Will you like send me a link to what it is? I would love to know. I really would. All right, let me go ahead and open a circle. It's very important to me that we do that. Hang on a second. It's interesting. Okay, so It's all that. Okay, yeah. Please send it to me. So I'm going to read from 2 decks. And the first one that wants to come forward is an angel. Here we go. Sorry, the light's like glaring at it. Angels of Atlantis. We have an archangel coming forward. So this is going to be a card for our collective. All who are watching now, all who will watch later. An archangel to guide us. Guide us right now. Guide us this week. Oh yeah, this week. I feel that. Okay, it's not just one archangel, guys. We got 3. No, we got 2. We have Archangel Gabriel. Let me see if I can move this. Oh my god, it's not helping at all. It's just going to be a glare. Sorry. Archangel Gabriel. Inspiration. I see your body.
A body?
Yes, your body. I'm going to have to take you out to the pool soon, huh? His energy is just going, like you can feel it. I like to call it, he sparks. When his energy gets like that, it sparks. I can feel it. Little sparks of fire coming off of him. And then we have Archangel Michael. Enchantment. And Archangel Michael again for patience. So Archangel Michael and Archangel Gabriel. I can really, really feel the Michael energy. Purple has been, the violet ray has been coming to me to work with recently, very strongly. So if you feel called to that, if you have any amethyst, pull that out. All right. So Gabriel with inspiration will guide you to connect with the flow of the universe with God's breath. When flow occurs, Gabriel removes the tensions and holding points that had prevented you from creating love and joy in your life. I can almost feel like this very conversation that we're talking about is tied into that. All the tensions and holding points of who we are have been prevented us from being in that space of joy and love. Inspiration means to be influenced by the divine and to take several moments to enjoy Gabriel's breath as your breath. Relaxation will abound and creative ideas will swiftly flow into your consciousness. Allow stillness to facilitate the flow right now. Boy, I feel that. Pushing doesn't allow, it merely creates resistance. Michael. Enchantment. Michael asks you to remember the magic of your life by connecting with the path of the enchantment, the enchanted. Is magic missing from your life, or are you aware of a lack of imagination in your creative purpose? And what I'm really feeling right now is to tune into that at this moment in time that we are in. To tune into what enchantment is for you right now. Yeah, to allow the divine joy of the child within you to reconnect with the free flow fun that was once present in your innocence. And here we are talking about our childhood and being who we are, that innocent child who wasn't allowed to be free. What I'm really feeling too is to move through this moment to really tap into that divine joy of your inner child. And we have the patience card as well. To be patient as we move through this. This suggests that you have been rushing to create, to manifest. Work to allow, dear one. Then you will see patience as an active force in the time distance between visualization and manifestation. Allow, trust, faith. Meditate on stillness so that you may consider your desire without attachment. Contemplate the splendor of the three great pyramids of Giza that took a large number of years to build, yet no one ever doubted that eventually they would stand. Oh. This is the work that we're doing here. The shifting that we've been talking about. This shifting of consciousness, of collective, of being seen. How those of us don't have space in the world to be who we are. And it will, I'm going to say it will take years, and then I got this, no, it won't. Will it take years? No, it's not going to take years. It will feel like it. Yes. It will feel, oh wow, that's a lot of emotion coming through. It will feel like it will take years, but it won't.
Hey, real quick, Nathan pointed out we have this fishing bug where
But
you catch a fish and then
do
you're
not
stuck and
doubt
it's for a long time.
that they will ever stand. They will.
Cool. All right, that's it.
And I'm really feeling like that that's not just us that was coming through in that emotion, like that, like I can almost feel like all these lights, these beautiful different people, these children, these adults, like lighting up and saying like, yes, this is who I am. This is what I'm here for. And it's not just me, it's not just you. It's a lot. A lot. All right, so you're feeling the shifting for a while now. It's that's right. It is perfect for us. But to do that, that's going to take some real rebellious courage, right? So that's what I love this deck for. We're going to have to be sacred rebels. We are going to have to be some serious, badass sacred rebels to do this. And to be patient. It's coming, it's changing, and it's a lot. Like it's all of the above, right? If you're not in my Facebook group, please join. And I say that because you don't have to go through it alone. Like whatever your thing is, like even if you're not necessarily a parent with kids who are on this different path. Daphne, you're a rebel. You are a rebel girl. We are all sacred rebels because we're all saying yes. We're saying yes to this moment. We're saying yes to ourselves and who the real truth of this is. But please join my group. I haven't said that in years. You're really growing into you. You are growing into you. It's going to be so beautiful and amazing to see all of you. Yes, please just join my group because then you're not going through it alone. You know, and we're kind of a nice little tight family, and it's all I can say is when I was really in it with my kids and I didn't know who they were yet, like I didn't know, and this feels like it'll lead into another conversation, especially about Eric, but I felt so alone. Oh, it's Intuitive Parent Evolution, Christina. I did post a link at the very top of this feed, but Intuitive Parent Evolution. So come join me. I share my stories. I share what I'm going through, and other people are doing the same, because we're not alone. And that was the thing that I wanted more than anything, was to know that I wasn't alone. Like, I was walking my path, my unique path. Yes, even if you don't have children. Because the truth is, you were a child yourself. And so much of this that I'm talking about, you're like, yeah, that's me, that resonates, right? Or there's children in your life. It's stepping off the traditional path to find yours. And that is scary, and it is lonely, lonely, lonely work. Yes, you are absolutely welcome. We have people who are grandparents. I have people who are just like, I just want to support the work that you're doing, who are in the group. So please, just join us. Join us, share the message if you have people who have kids. But if not, like, it's for all of us. Yes, Daphne, it's at the very, very top. And I can't easily, let me turn my laptop back on. It's like, my phone makes it tricky to do this, but I still have it open. So let me pop it in again on my laptop. Okay. Where's my main feed? Here's my main feed. Okay, let me pop it in again. Okay, so there's Rob Bell. And then Christina, here's going to be the link for the group. Oh, and look at Daphne, 19 and 30, 8-year-old grandson, and soon to be 2-year-old granddaughter. And yes, and right, Daphne, how much you're learning for yourself. And then as you model, I've found when I'm out in the world with my kids, this is of course more before there was a pandemic, and I got the very distinct sense that as I was having moments and really being out in the world, like when Eric was really struggling, and me sitting on the asphalt floor next to him and holding space for him, that people around me saw. And I could feel the ripple effect of what that was. And these are people who may never have kids. And yet it's this changing of relationship of how we are present with children, all children.
Stop chewing apple.
Changing our relationship. To see them for who they are. To not tell them, don't be seen, don't be heard. And say, no. You're a little human being and you've got some pretty big emotions and opinions. They are thus. They are us. We are them. That's right. And that's why this work is so important to me. Because it is going to touch people who are never going to be parents. Like my sister's never going to be a parent. Probably my brother and sister-in-law are never going to be parents. And yet it's what's being changed. Family dynamics, ancestral healing, just from doing this work. How our families have responded to our kids and fully trust them and who they are. Like, it's like the proof is in the pudding, and they're like, oh, look, there's the pudding. Like, it's doing pretty good, this pudding. I feel like the answer to so many of our problems of this world is actually tied to our relationship with our children. To trust them, to allow them to learn as they will, to be who they are, to be seen, to be heard, to feel. Oh, okay, Daphne, I'm excited about Anastasia then. Change the world by loving and seeing our kids, by seeing them. Because to see our kids means we have to see ourselves. Because you can't trust in your kids. You can't trust in the kids in your life unless you do it for yourself. That's some major magic. That's how we change the world. All right, so let's see here, Spirit. What do we need to know for our collective to do this work? Oh my gosh. Okay. Got 2 cards, guys. And look at the one. All right. All right. This is the first one. Power of attraction. Look at the number 13, lucky number. And then, look at this, 16, what you want, wants you. This was actually our collective card the last time I read from this deck. And then the one, I always look at the one on the bottom because that's a message too, and look at this. Against the grain. Okay, I wasn't planning on reading 3 cards because these are actually kind of long, so let me see how I'm doing on I think my phone's battery is okay. Like, okay, so if you guys don't mind, and I'll go ahead and read and channel this as it comes up, but it's not a short, these aren't short ones. We have to do it as a collective, right? Nice, right? I'm feeling just a lot of energy coming in right now. Oh my goodness. Okay. You're in, Daphne? Okay. I'll read and channel, and I'll just apologize. It's going to take a little minute. Power of attraction. There is such wonder awaiting you. And what I heard from Spirit was all of you. And I'm really feeling so many lights just like pulsing and shining. And they're all saying, yes, this is me. There are so many beautiful adventures and so much magic yet to be. Okay, so even with what is happening in the world right now, that's what I heard with this sentence. So even with what's happening in the world, can you keep your heart open to what is coming towards you without surrendering your experience of this moment by becoming too future orientated? You see, there is magic in this moment too. And I'm hearing, there is magic. And then I got the image of me sitting on the floor and holding Eric as he screamed and was so frustrated and yelling at all the people walking by us and judging. And yet, there is magic in those moments. Important magic. Important magic. There is something arising within you, out of your depths of your being. In this process, there is a shift in environment, both internal and external. A fertility is being stimulated. Oh, thank you, Daphne. I feel, I'm gonna lose my phone. I hit my desk. That was me that time. I feel much better after these conversations too. I really do. You guys remind me why I'm doing this and why I'm excited to be out in the world and doing this. There's magic in this messy house. Yep. Magic in our messy country. For sure. That's what popped into my mind. This is your time to play with that fertility, to conceive, create, and embark upon the process of transformation with an open heart and mind. And again, even with what's happening right now, can you leave space for play? Can you still find play and joy and delight, radiant delight? You may not know where it is all going to lead. Right, our messy world. How to hold that balance. Messy world and joy at the same time. Talk about something to teach our kids. Talk about something to teach ourselves. Could you imagine if that's what we learned in school? Whew. Could you just feel the ripples and the differences that would make if this is what we learned? That's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm doing this work. All you need to know is that it will be wonderful and exactly perfectly what is needed. Beyond that, allow the energy of fertile growth and abundance that now flows so naturally and richly within you and around you, simply to be. You are a big soul, and with that often comes big dreams. Oh my God. This conversation has been about those of us who are different, with these really strong antennas. And as I read that, you're a big soul, and with that often comes big dreams. I just felt this emotion behind what that would be. Big dreams. Those of us who are different, who feel the world differently, and to have space and allowance again in our world for that difference. Like, can you feel that? I really feel that. You might worry that you want too much out of life. That's right, Daphne. Big aspirations for this world. Perhaps you think that you are only capable of small dreams. This is guiding you to remember that there are stages of creation. A house cannot be built without the flooring. No matter how beautiful the stained glass windows you plan to install are, the windows need to be up first. Your big life dreams are a work in progress, just like you. If you've been working on healing something within you, started a new creative project, or just taken on a new job or relationship, and feel that although you are getting some results, you are impatient for more, doubt that you can continue or ever find the zone or becoming proficient in the situation at hand, then this comes as a reinforcement. You are doing well. I needed to hear that. Anybody else? That which is worthwhile takes time to build. Celebrate each success, even the small ones. You are creating something of worth, what we're doing here together. Even this conversation that we are having is a huge thing of worth. Huge. Be patient. Patient. Where did that card go? Put it back. Not that one. I just love it how when there's that synchronicity of the messages of the cards, Patient. Be patient. I need some of that. Keep going and trust. You have recently completed a cycle or level of manifestation and are transitioning into the next level of experience. Like a big fish leaving the small pond and feeling rather like a small fish in a bigger pond, there will be some getting used to. Time needed as you find your way. This will add to what you have already done and bring valuable expansion to your realization of your abilities, as well as many new relationships and opportunities to help you go further on your journey. What you are in the process of creating will benefit from this stage of your process. These cards are perfect. Whether your creation is simply your sacred life path, a particular creative work, or an actual child, there is a positive and constructive energy that is unfolding for you now to boost this process and carry you further along the way. Do you dare to dream and to believe in your dream until it manifests? Even if naysayers challenge you. Of course you do, you sacred rebel. And if you need someone to support you, pick you up on those moments when you're not feeling so sacred rebel-ish, definitely connect, join the group, because you're not alone. Totally not alone. So this oracle brings you guidance. You are going to attract whatever is needed to complete your work in process and bring it to fruition. Remain open to receive and trust in the unfolding of your life experiences. Hi, Melissa. You're catching the tail end, but this is kind of like the really cool part. I'm reading some really awesome cards that I pulled for our collective. I'm doing well. I am. I really am. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be having these conversations with you all. Truly, truly am. Remain open to receive and trust in the unfolding of your life experiences. Do not turn away. I just felt like that the collective childhood experiences that we've been sharing, about being who we are with our strong antennas, and how needed that may have been for your life, for you to be where you are now. And I can just see all these different branching paths for each of you, why you're here, your soul's purpose. And it's like, yeah, you needed to go through that. It wasn't easy, it sucked, but wow, are you so strong from it? And wow, are you walking on that path straighter, with more confidence and more ease? And just feel that energy. All of the necessary elements are coming together for you to walk your path. Allow this integration to occur so that you can manifest your dreams. Manifest your dreams. Okay, this is so that was number 13. Now we have number 16. What you want wants you. Some water. And we get to embrace the experience. And that's our choice, isn't it? Embrace it or resist. And, there's moments of resistance. I certainly have those. We ain't perfect. But it's sure a good practice to live up to. Do you dare to believe that what you want is also wanting you? The genuine desires of your heart are the sacred purpose of the soul, swathed in pleasure. Yet if you have been shamed, judged for, made to feel guilty over, or denied your natural desires or pleasures in any way, you may have developed a very tricky and complicated relationship with the yearnings of your heart. And if you couldn't tell, my voice is really, wow. And hasn't that been in our conversation of our childhoods and how we had to cope with being who we were? The experiences that we had, being bullied, being different. Yeah. Looking back on the hard times is being for my best. It's hard to do. And there's absolutely like space in that. You know, like if you're in it and someone said that to you or to me, I'd probably want to punch them. You know, like it's okay if that's the space that you're in. And yet that's certainly been true of my experience.
I'm working.
Daddy's working now, kiddo. I'm almost done, and then I can help you. Those moments that are hard and crumble, those bathroom floor calling to God moments, that is when I've grown the most. That's when I've transformed. That's when I found my own strength, who I was. It was in those moments. All right, let me keep reading so I can feed my kid. We often learn to distrust our own desires and come to believe that they are something to overcome or avoided. We may even try to want second best, disbelieving that we are worthy of our first choice, of what we really genuinely want and would fulfill us deeply. Perhaps we have conditioned ourselves to believe that getting what we want is for others, not us. Even the conditioning of our childhood, right? First, trust in what you truly want. Not the substitutions and make-dos, but what would truly bring a sense of passionate, playful purpose and fulfillment to your life. You might not know anything more than, I want to sing, or I want to write, or I want to help animals, or I want to paint. Start with what you know and hold it in your heart as you do your healing work. If you generally do not know what your heart wants, explore your desires by making gentle and persistent inquiries of yourself. Ask yourself what it is that truly moves you. Give this matter consistent attention without forcing a response. Your answers may come in a sudden flood or slowly over time. As you get to know what your genuine desires and give yourself permission to feel, look at that theme, and receive them, a powerful sequence is set in motion. From the depths of the universe, your desire hurtles its way towards you as a perfect manifestation. It is coming to you even now, manifesting itself as the best possible situation or relationship or circumstances to bring fulfillment to your heart, radiance to your life, and a creative awakening. So don't give up. Keep dreaming of your fulfillment, but don't imagine it as always awaiting you in some distant future. And again, I got that sense of it's not that far away. It's not as far as you think it is. These changes that we've been talking about in our collective. It's not generations away. It's much, much, much sooner, quicker, more present. The foundation of it is already here. It's already happening. Play with what it will feel like to be so fulfilled right now. How will you feel different? Will you be more grateful, more peaceful and content, more confident, more trusting in your ability to create and in the loving responsiveness of this wild universe? Cultivate those feelings. Cultivate those feelings. Feelings. The thing that we're not really allowed to do in our world at this time, in this culture, Western culture. Feelings. Let's make space for feelings of all kinds. And let's show others how to do that. Get to feel what genuine desire and the meeting of that desire that can yet generate new desire is like for you. Give yourself permission to go there right now. So today, what is your desire? Can you go play with that desire? Can you give yourself 5 minutes to just sit in that desire and to dream, to be in that energy, even with all that is happening right now? Oh wow, definitely do this full moon portal that we're coming up to. Really play in that manifestation energy. Remember, if you have people in your life who are shutting you down, suggesting what you want is not possible, or you're aiming too high, then they need this healing too. Oh. But that's their choice too. Oh yeah, see, look, there's my little low battery. 20%. Okay, keep reading. And they'll learn from you, inspiration from you. Whether you see it coming or not, your desire is already on its way to you. It is closer than you think, and soon you will be able to see it, touch it, feel it, and enjoy it. But you must give yourself that space to dream it first and to believe in it. You need to do that. Do that first. You will then become inspired for your next manifestation based on the true desires of your heart. Talk about energy coming through. Oh my gosh, I'm like excited reading this to you. You feel the truth of it now. Yeah. Okay, so this is our last card. Against the grain. And this, it just feels so perfect for this conversation that we've shared together about being different and going against the grain, not conforming, not following the same traditional path, and finding our own, whatever that looks like for each of you. You want birds to be able to fly underwater. You want love to trump power. You want humanity to relate to each other as equals and to recognize the sacredness in you and in the world around you. You want to unleash the beauty that hides in even the ugliest of scenes or sentiments. Can anyone feel that? Unleash the beauty even in the ugliest scenes. That is a challenge. To sit in those feelings, right, with what's happening in Afghanistan. And beauty in that, that's a challenge. Maybe the beauty is in something simple as the love that's coming through us for those who are suffering, and for the fear and the anxiety that they had, this collective rising up of love. Maybe that could be a place for beauty, but that is a challenge, Spirit. Wow. You want to make possible for what others say cannot be. You are a radical dreamer, a sacred rebel, and you bring the light of a more positive future to this world. Yeah, we don't see everything. That's right. Only what is being allowed. Chosen. However, this can have its burdens. We know that, don't we? Deep within you, you may feel that you don't really fit in with the rest of the world. Oh, the television. Oh, Daphne, I'm so done with the narrative of television and mainstream media. I like going to the sources. TikTok has been really great for that, in that sense of people kind of going up and sharing. I don't know about Afghanistan in particular, but I know it's been helpful in the past as a source for that. Yeah. I mean, this is so much of the conversation we've been having. Deep within you, you may feel you don't really fit in with the rest of the world. Perhaps your sense of how things can be and how they really are is so different to the smaller minds or more fearful hearts of many others that you are rarely received for all that you offer. That has been my healing journey. My being able to hold and find worth within myself when the culture around me is like, no, we care about status. No, we only care about money. We only care about financial success. And here I am. I'm like, let's talk about feelings. Let's talk about intuition. Let's talk about that. And yet, that's how it's got to come from me. It has to come from me. This might make you feel frustrated, thwarted, or lonely at times. The universe so loves you for your unusual take on things, for the quirkiness in you that dares to honor that which is different and renders the impossible possible. You must never, ever lose your unusual ways and become dry, serious, appropriate, conventional, right? Our conversation, not even for appearance's sake. For you would lose your essence, which is exactly what you're saying, Daphne. We only care about others' opinions and not ourselves. I mean, at least that's the default, the programming. That's what I received growing up anyway. You may have had a different experience. But you do that and you lose your essence. You lose who you are. You are here to show that life is about so much more than conventional success. I mean, I can say for me, that's why these kids came into my life. You are someone who lives and breathes in the depths of creative waters. You need to lose yourself to the flow of music, nature, dreams, imagination, and fantasy. Through art and literature, meditation, dance, and in sensual surrender to the sacred waters of the ocean, the river, the lake, or the bathtub. You must go against the grain. It is your way. That is why you are here. Your soul chose this. For an even greater purpose than you can realize now. You are not one of the followers. You are one of the agitators. You are one of those who will change the game for others. This is so you. It's a powerful message, isn't it? However, yours is not a force of disrespectful chaos. You are a loving catalyst, and by simply being yourself, you constantly remind people that there is always another way. This oracle comes with particular guidance that you are meant to be exactly as you are. You and your antennas, your super powerful antennas, are meant to be exactly as you are. You are meant to be the black sheep, the rainbow sheep, or even the wild wolf in the flock of sheep. This daring butterfly spirit calling to the caterpillars, that is you. That is the work we're doing here together. That is the power of the work we are doing together. I can feel it. The price you pay for the gift of individuality is that you must take care of it and guard it so that you are not dulled down and conditioned into playing at being something you are not. Christina says she's the black sheep in her family. So happy you're here with us today, Christina. I really am. I'm just thinking and feeling back to my own childhood, my conditioning, to the experiences I've had as a parent, giving my kids the space to be who they are and to saying no. No. Dina, you are a rainbow colored sheep. You really are.
Am I rainbow color?
Kate, would you like to be rainbow color? Eric, do you want to be rainbow color? Rainbow color? Eric wants to be rainbow color too. Yeah. 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 Hi, sweetie. If this has happened or is threatening to happen, let this oracle bring you comfort. You know, they're cuties, aren't they? I don't know if I would have said that 3-4 years ago. I was in it. I was in it. I was having bathroom floor moments. It was rough. It was rough and it was beautiful. This has happened or is threatening to happen to you. Let this bring you comfort. You will always dream of birds that fly underwater. You know that the true nature of your being can never be changed. At most, it could only be hidden for a time. Now is the time to accept who you are and allow your truths to be fully expressed. Don't worry about the effects of going against the grain. When we are who we are in truth, we attract the support, protection, and energy that we need to thrive. And I am so grateful that you are here. I'm really, really grateful. Your power comes from aligning your outward self with your inner truth, not with the general consensus. You will then find other dreamers, other wild butterflies, and atypically colored sheep to join you in conjuring better visions of our world. Thank you, Daphne. It pushed me. Those moments that break you open. And here I am with other butterflies, wild butterflies, and a rainbow sheep and a black sheep. And I'm feeling so much love and so much excitement for what we are all going to do together. To be different, to go against the grain. You need salami? Okay. So that was perfect timing. Thankfully, that was a shorter one than the others. My goodness. What a gift. What a gift from Spirit. And this work that we are all doing together. Thank you so much for being with me, for sharing in this moment. 1 year tomorrow, I had a hysterectomy. It's an emotional time. It pushed me to be stronger and to wake up. Oh, Christina, I'm sending you love. Okay, Kate, I'm finishing up. Gotta feed the kids. Thank you all so much. Again, please join my Facebook group, Intuitive Parents Evolution. If you are a parent and you would like some more direct one-on-one support of literally doing what this card said, going against the grain, going against the conventional path, whatever it is for you, if you have kids who are different, if you are looking to not do traditional schooling and you're like, I'm going to go all the way over here and do this other thing, and all the voices in the world around you telling you differently, like, let me hold your hand so you don't go through it alone. Because that's the worst feeling, is having all those voices telling you that you're wrong, that you're different, that it's not right, that, right? And yet standing there in your strength and your power and saying no. It really, really, really helps to have someone beside you saying you're not alone. Let me help you. Let me be with you. So if you need that, please message me, reach out. You can also find Intuitive Parents Evolution business page. But even if not, share this video. Like, if you have people in your lives who have strong antennas, who are different, and who this message that we've been talking and sharing what our childhood has been like can help, share it. And again, please join my group. I really enjoyed being with you all today. Hi, Leslie. We're finishing up, but definitely go back and read our collective messages. They were big. They were long too, so, be prepared for that. And thank you, Melissa. Thank you. Close our circle. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to feed my kids, take them to the pool, and get out some energy, and then I'm going to do more parenting stuff. Because that's how I roll. Oh, thank you all so much for joining. I'm planning on going on this weekend to do some free intuitive readings in my Facebook group. I don't know what time yet, probably maybe Sunday morning is what I'm looking at. But so join the group if you want to hop in on that. And I will talk to you also later. Thank you so, so much for being here. I appreciate you. Keep your light shining. Dream big. Dream into your desires, even with what all is happening in the world, because it is coming to you. Thanks so much. Bye.